robot Dallas, specifically for the news channel Cryptocurrency. This is the second video on learning how to work with the BitMEX exchange. And so in this video, we will look at orders, or rather, some of the nuances of their actual use. We continue to systematically make videos on learning how to work with the BitMEX exchange, so in order not to miss them and get all the most valuable information, you need to subscribe to our channel and put a bell. These are mandatory conditions. And so now let's go straight to the orders. In the past video, we considered their theoretical purpose and I explained what it was: a limit order, a market stop, and all the others. In the same video, we will talk about these from ticks, and other such moments that were not covered in the last video. Limit order. I told you what he does but did not cover. These are the moments with check marks. So, let's begin. From the first tick, called passive, to be honest, I don't understand a little why this tick was added at all, because any belt order is in fact passive. This is a little in-depth topic. What are passive orders? What are aggressive orders? But you should know that a passive order is an order that is placed and is awaiting its execution, and from that it is passive. In fact, our limit order is passive in order to make it easier for you to explain. And if there was a passive market order here, then it would be set as a limit order, but I think you understand why. Passing a tick is the only thing that it doesn't allow you to do is to execute an order on the market. It turns out if I now want to buy at the price of 3,850 and press the purchase with a tick passive, then the order is placed and immediately cancelled, because it is passive. If I remove this tick, then my order will work at the price of 3,837.5. It will be fulfilled in the market. In fact, it will be market. More this tick does not give anything, then go tick hidden. Hidden limit order. It allows us to say so to big players to hide their orders. It turns out if I put a tick hidden, we can put any number for example, but I do not know there is 215 million and show in the glass for example just 100 contracts. But at the same time here we will have a million. For example, here there will not be any sharp rise in liquidity, but here we will not see anything in the glass, but at the same time when the price fits, for example, we will set at 3,836. As soon as sales reach 3,836, our large order will be selling off. Everyone will see that at a price of 3,836 it costs only 100 contracts which for some reason cannot be bought or sold. But in fact there will be a very large order. The so-called iceberg, if you understand what I'm talking about. In fact, the order of which we do not see, but it is. Next tick reduction. This tick allows you to only reduce the open position. For example, we now have 800 purchase contracts at the price of 3,820 kopecks. What can we do with a reduction order? For example, we cannot supply additional purchase. For example, we want to purchase 20 contracts at a price of 3,820. We click on a purchase, and the order is sent and immediately cancelled. The reason is because we have a tick only decrease. It turns out there is a warrant with a tick decrease can reduce the current position but not increase it. Next, we have a drop-down list here that says good thing in sell. Here in Russian will be more or less clear. Let's take a look at what's here. Fit to cancel, execute immediately or cancel, execute immediately or cancel, and so what it is. This is how the order will be executed. It is written here before the order expiration date is usually always valid until cancelled. It turns out we set a valid order until cancelled. We placed an order for the price of 3,820 contacts clicked to buy. Here he put up with us and it will stand until it is fulfilled, or we will not cancel it. What other ticks give us, or rather what other opportunities give us, shall we say? Do it right away or cancel it again. I don't understand why, It's done more for market orders. It's all in order to turn it into a market order for a limit order. The same 20 contacts are priced at 3,820. Click buy. The order is placed and immediately cancelled due to the fact that it was not executed immediately. For example, if we take one contract and at the price we are 3,837.5 to the nearest price, we'll click to buy it and work with us. The order is filled. It turns out what happened. The order was immediately executed and everything is fine. Yes, if he had not immediately executed on the market, he would have banally cancelled. I think this is understandable and logical. Then to execute immediately or cancel it is almost the same thing as to execute immediately and cancel, but they have some points here. Again, it's more interesting to say so for big players. The order is executed immediately or cancelled. It is executed immediately, but some part of this order can be executed. For example, here we are now seeing the purchase of 1,800,000 contracts there and we roughly want to buy for 2 million contracts, but here we are the whale ourselves, who wants to buy under 2 million contracts for the market. If we place an order to execute right away or cancel, for 2 million contracts, yes, it is placed and if at least one contract of this total works, then it is bought roughly speaking, then the order is considered to be completed. Accordingly, if the rest of the volume is not executed, it is simply cancelled. And so we wanted for 2 million and entered on one contract. Execute immediately or cancel at the same. Perform immediately and cancel only. Here the condition that must be fulfilled, the entire number of contracts that are declared in the order. For example, if we want to buy for 2 million and we have the nearest one for 6,600,000, then the order simply will not be fulfilled. I think in principle this is understandable and there is nothing heavy here. But I want to say that you are unlikely to use this, because it is already interesting for highly professional players and for players with a very large volume. It turns out you naturally do not need the only thing that if you take away at least 2-3 bitcoins, then on different altcoins you can use it. Remember yourself a little whale, let's say. And so we proceed further in the market order. We have no check marks and everything else, so we immediately move to the market stop. There are already 2 points that interest us. The first one is a trigger. It is the last marking and the index. What is a trigger? When we viewed the stop order in the past video, I said what a trigger is: a certain mark of the asset value. If the price reaches the trigger, it triggers and exposes, for example, a market order to sell or buy. It turns out that this is a turning point when a click is triggered and an order is automatically placed for you to sell or to buy. But in our case it will be 100, and this trigger is naturally a certain mark on the price. It turns out on the price of an asset. What is the trigger here? Drop-down list. This drop-down list allows you to select the trigger will be based on this price, on this one with a globe, or on this fat price. As you can see, these prices are slightly different and there is a reason for that. This is green or red price, and this is directly the price of the asset on BitMEX. Next we have an index. The index is the latest price on the exchange with which BitMEX takes an example. It is no secret that all such exchanges who trade Bitcoin futures or altcoin, they have an exchange that they trust at a cost that, for example, BitMEX is correct. Roughly speaking, there are no takeaways, deceptions of market players and so on. It turns out that the price is directly with a globe, and that is, an index. You can set triggers on it. For example, if BitMEX may be some kind of false minute there or a second squash, not in your direction, and it would activate in your stop. Then on an index like this happened and your stop did not work. This actually helps, but we don't particularly recommend that you get involved in it, because as you can trade the price of liquidation, this also happens. This trade, and here it is natural to predict nothing is impossible, but in fact it is a very working option to use the stop, namely as the price of the index, or as the price of marking. We touch the labeling, we turn to it, that the same labeling is the average price for 2 or 3 5 exchanges that use BitMEX. There is a main exchange that BitMEX trusts, but it always eliminates you at the marking price, because it is the correct one. This is again done so that BitMEX cannot deceive you, somehow manipulate and liquidate you with a second squeeze. The price of marking is used for this, and you are eliminated only by marking. It turns out, for example, that I now have the price of liquidation of 3,488.5, and if this last price reaches 3,488.5 does not liquidate me, and if the price of marking reaches the price 3,488.5, then I will already liquidate it. Marking includes itself. There are data from 3, 4 exchanges that use BitMEX, so you can set naturally and at the price of marking, but as practice has shown, for example, for positional transactions, naturally, it makes sense to use a stop for long transactions, either by index or by labeling, but preferably by labeling. If we use some kind of scalping, then the marking does not suit us here, because we use short movements and we count on some kind of false moves on BitMEX, because they occur here all the time. That is why in case of any short deals, or scalping, it is recommended to use the latter. Next, there is a tick to close the trigger. This is the same as a limit order with a tick decrease. It turns out the stop, it can only reduce the current position but not increase it. For example, I now have a position for 800 contracts, but I entered 1,000 and the stop for 1,000 contracts, and if the price now comes to a stop, that will not be such that my 800 contracts will close and open 200 contracts for sale. My current position will be closed for me. The other contracts in the application for the foot, they are cancelled, and this is close to trigger. It turns out that this is like security. For example, if you went to sleep then you took a take profit, you closed half of the position, and then the price went to the foot so that you would not turn from long to short, or from short to long. Then stop is used with a tick to close the trigger. Therefore, this tick is actually very useful and I use it very often. Further, the limit stop order, in principle, here is a mixed function, because of the market stop and the usual limit order, we've all seen with you here, passive hidden, triggers, and close the trigger. All this is a drop-down list. The validity period is also here, therefore, there is nothing new here, it has already been explained to you. Further, the moving stop, and here I will dwell a little on how to work with it. They often ask me what a moving stop is, why there may be minus contracts, there may be a plus contract, and how it works. So here are the same ticks: trigger, last marking, index, and close the trigger. Do you already know how to use it all the same? Imagine I have now open long, which means value with a minus, which means a value without a minus. C minus is the difference, roughly speaking, between the last price and the price at which our trailing stop will be, and accordingly this difference will always be stable. That is, for example, the price is now, I will place an order with a difference of 50, then at the price of 3,841, my order will be at the price of 3,791. And for example, if the price goes to 3,850 now, then my order will be at the price of 3,800. Here the difference is 50 points, but always if I put just 50 and press enter to buy, not to exhibit my order below the current price, and above the current price. Accordingly, it will be executed without a tick to close the triggers instantly. It will be executed on the market. That is, if we want to set a trailing stop for long, then we expose it with a minus, but if we want it for short, then we need to set trailing stops with a plus. And further, the profit-taking limits here are also all the checkboxes, and also the market profit fixing here, too. All this has already been explained in the past how the market limit profit works. I explained and said that this is not a necessary order in principle, and now take off, we also spoke with you. I have this all subscribed to our channel, Put likes. Go into the description. There is a link on which you can register yourself an account on BitMEX with a discount on the commission. It's very important because really commissions can take a very large amount of your profit. Bonus for BitMEX exchange. 10% discount on the registration fee. Link to the description. I hope the content was useful for you. Subscribe, put like, write your comment. See you in the following videos, everyone. Before the meeting.